live from Houston, Texas. Well, at least I'm in Houston, Texas. My guest is not. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's episode of What Makes You Tick. I'm excited you're here for number 33. When I started this, 33, are you kidding me? Before we dive in, as always, we'll have a couple of housekeeping tips that we need to hit on and make this a good experience for everyone. Today, I have an amazing guest, and I'm excited that you get to connect with this gentleman. But first, this is an interactive live session. You're encouraged to participate however you can. To ask a question, drop it in the chat. I'll bring key insight, and my guests will bring key insight into what we need and what you want. We'll use LinkedIn's DM and the comment section for the events posting for any behind-the-scenes coordination. And I say this all the time, and I don't know if I can help you, but I will. I'll try. If you get disconnected, the easiest piece is just rejoin. LinkedIn will do that from time to time. So will some of the other apps. We know that you're listening while commuting, or many of y'all have a day off, or you may be listening on the recording. Any insight you can have, even quiet listeners, are great. All I ask is that if you have a comment, would love to hear it after. Just drop it in any comment, drop it in any of the followings on any of my apps. Thanks for being here. Now let's get started. I'm excited. Today's guest believes life comes down to two things: time and relationships. He is living proof that one conversation can change everything. He doesn't just talk about connection, he engineers it. If you've ever met the guy that knows someone, you're always seem to have the introduction or the right introduction, you're about to hear from that guy. He has worked across the entire podcasting ecosystem, leading 3 listening platforms, helped shape AI-powered content repurposing tools, and now serving as head of relationships for RSS.com, one of the world's top podcasting host providers. From his Chicago roots, which, sorry about your Bears, from his Chicago roots to earning the marketing degree at USC to exceeding sales quota at Yahoo. His career is a masterclass in turning relationships into results. He is a relationship generator, partnership builder, community cultivator, and revenue accelerator who believes podcasting is one of the most powerful tools we have built, especially to build trust. And it's not transactional. Today, we dive into how trust built through conversation, built through podcasting, and how playing the long game with relationship pays off in ways you never expected. Join me as we discover what makes Greg Wasserman tick. Greg, great to be here, man. Tell us about what makes Greg tick.
Oh my God, what an intro. Everyone that's just listening to that. Yeah, you get the energy. Hopefully I will bring the same energy. Don't mind the voice, but what a pleasure to be here. What makes me tick? Life is about time, relationships. That's truly the biggest thing. If you think about it, I mean, your acronym is trust, clarity, and traction. So like trust is like, life is about time and relationships. I'm a trusting person. It goes back to who I was as a kid, as you said, from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's always been the case where how do I bring people together? I played sports. My brother was the brainiac. I was smart, but he was the mathlete. I was the athlete, right? But we're two smart people in that regards. But at the core of it was always just bringing people together. And I get that from my mom, and just surrounding yourself by good people. And at some point you realize, maybe they're taking advantage. You learn that where to set boundaries, but ultimately it's having that good trust. Maybe it was someone that professor told me in college, but as I grew up, it was, would I grab a beer with this person, right? Drinking culture aside, like, is this someone that I would go to a pub and go like, you know what, Bryan, I want to get to know you and let's sit down and have a conversation. Like those are the people that you want to surround yourself with, diverse thoughts, but just good people. And that's literally what it's always been. And that's how you build the trust for me.
No, okay. So what's your sport? You said you're a former athlete. What was your sport? Or did you have multiple sports?
Yeah, I did soccer and track. Those were the 2 main ones.
Gosh. And how big was soccer in Chicago? I know it's relatively still a new sport. I'm a football guy, baseball guy, basketball, your typical 3 sports, but how was soccer?
I mean, if you think about the South, there's like football, Midwest, and the Pacific Northwest. Soccer is a huge thing. But for me, I mean, I remember going to the World Cup in '94 when it came to town.
It's going to be in
Yeah,
Houston this year.
I mean, it's what, the whole North America, right? So
Hmm.
each little city will get a hit of it. But I think, what is it, like LAFC is one, Timbers, Portland, Seattle are two major markets for soccer in that regards. At first, since I got injured, following along has been tough. Uh, I still send back and forth like Instagram videos of amazing goals with some of my high school buddies who are on teams together. It's just like give and take, but like that also just goes to me. I know it's like it was his birthday, it was my birthday recently, and I'm like, I thank you so much for keeping this connection going 30
Hmm.
years later, just over an Instagram videos that we find that remind us of each other, whether it's a nostalgic side of it, but it's also just
Yes.
the time taken isn't much. If you come across something as of interest, someone else will find that of interest,
Uh-huh.
send it to them. And that is a key piece. I just came back from a conference, and there was a Hall of Fame show that was going on, or Hall of Fame induction. And one of the inductees, there was a video that was being shown of him talking at a conference, and I knew the lady that was interviewing him, and she got out of podcasting. But I took a picture of her of her on screen, and I sent it to her. And today, she posted, thank you, Greg Wasserman, for sending me this. I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, no, the nice thing is building trust is you want other people to be talking about you when you're not in the room. And
Yes.
here it is. I'm seeing her on screen, and I'm taking the time and the energy to go, hey, Misty, you didn't even know this was being done. You're probably never going to watch this video had I not let you know. But I want you to know that even if you're not in the space anymore, the space was touched by you. I recognize that, and I want you to know that. And that's a key piece to just relationships in life.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's funny because one of my buddies who I used to coach with, I coached for 20. I'm in my 22nd year, and one of the he called me. Literally, we haven't talked. We used to play poker together and hang out and stuff, and because of just different life changes, we haven't been able to connect. He passed by my street, calls me. And it's like those are guys that you want to be around with, and those are guys, and those are types of relationships that I'll be honest with you. 2026 has got to be a year where exactly what you just said, building those relationships and following up on those relationships. I've sucked at the last 2.5 years. I have sucked and I want to get better. So, like the inspiration you're saying is phenomenal. Look, I want to go off a little off script, of course, because one of the things you said is sports. You were big in sports. And one of my thoughts recently is why don't you hire people, or why don't people hire former athletes? Why don't they hire former coaches? There is a huge impact there. But I want, before I give my opinion, I'd love to hear yours. What do you think, or how do you think being in sports help prepare you for some of the things you're doing now?
Um, I mean, I'll take that as two different questions. The
Yes.
first one is, why aren't more people getting hired that worked in sports or played sports? So I think of back, I mean, this is years ago, 20 plus years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise Rent-A-Car used to be filled with former athletes,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're very competitive. It's a sales mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember all the others, but I remember there was a lot of former athletes. So there's companies that, from a cultural standpoint, will go ahead and go, I want that competitiveness. Naturally, salespeople are competitive. So a lot of salespeople are former athletes in that
Right.
regards, because I don't want to lose. I'm always looking at the leaderboard, whatever it may be, right? So I think there's certain roles where athletes are given that leg up from that standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, yeah, I love that because it's exactly the way I feel. And the ability to adjust on the fly. You have to do that in your, you have to read the room. And if you're on the field, you have to read what's going on and be able to adjust. But go ahead, finish your statement.
That's an interesting side, right? I started off from a soccer standpoint, started off as a forward. They moved me to defense. I've got a powerful shot, just no accuracy. Incredibly fast, so it worked. But that just goes to the flexibility of like, all right, I'll do what the team needs.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, I didn't enjoy that. I'm like, I want to be the goal scorer. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was always used to. But the reality is I was able to score goals from the back of the field and still provide value to the team.
Yeah.
and provide someone on the upfront now taking the forward position the opportunity. So it's looking at, are you a team player? Will you do what the team needs? You said I'm from Chicago, but I'm a Padres fan. I look at like Fernando Tatis with the Padres, and it's like they moved him to outfield. He's like, all of a sudden he's now a Gold Globe. He's like, put me where you need me, coach, and I'll do it. And that's kind of a mentality you want is, but it's also a hard mentality when we think about it. We get stuck in, I know I'm there. Growth mindset is a hard one to have.
Very.
So whether it's the upbringing you have, whether it's the lack of diversity that you're given introductions to, because you have a one-track mind, this is what I have to do, and then you don't realize like there's actually another way to do this, or B, you should try and lean into that discomfort of trying something else you can do. So yeah.
No, and all of that growth mindset's one of my big things. But I do want to add, you said Chicago again. So one of my good buddies is from Chicago. I've met a couple of people from Chicago. The funny thing is, I feel like, me being from South Louisiana, I feel like there's a common culture that we get along really well. Like we can have conversations, we can sit and watch football. We drink whiskey. There's a lot. The food is different, but there's still this pride in your food. And there's just something about the culture of the way that you see life that I find that is a good connection. So when you said that, I thought about it.
I mean, you could also go down. I mean, when you're talking, I'm thinking of Nolans right now. So you've got the jazz culture with blues and jazz culture of Chicago. So from a music standpoint, there's a huge connection on that music pulls people together as well as sports.
No, that's awesome. And look, we'll talk. We didn't talk much about your jobs, but right now there's such a huge push. There's so many people that work remote. I think my neighbor, all she does is work remote. She's in front of a computer. Now I could be in front of a computer for a while, but after a while I'll go nuts. I got to get up and go do something. But in building trust, how do you see, or what do you see as far as building trust within this remote setting that we have nowadays? Because everybody works apart, and you also have the podcasting. How does all of that kind of tie into building trust?
It's interesting because, I mean, I've always been one to work in an office, and then when COVID hit, I've not been in an office in 6 years now, or almost 6 years, depending on when you listen to this. But that changed the entire way, and we can talk to other people who've like, I've been remote for years in that regards, but in a COVID way of living, we've all of a sudden were introduced to humanity in a way that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
You're in a hat, in a workout shirt or whatever. I'm just in a black t-shirt. This is not how I would normally be going to work. I can roll out of bed and have this and still have the connection. There's many people that will still put on the suit, and I know there's a philosophy, dress to impress, and that's never been my thing. Even before COVID, it was always a t-shirt and a hoodie for me. Followed that whole mindset. I'm casual. That's what I want. So once COVID hit, this is my living world. You've got the virtual background, but like, welcome to my life. This is what I got. So it became incredible easy for us to be vulnerable. Not only that, we were all going through I don't have kids. Yours you're gone, but like, I got no kids, no dog running around. But if someone's got their kids coming in, you're like, hey, it's okay. That's the wife. That you're home and they're there. So I think it became incredibly easy to have that, especially in podcasting, the additional barrier that's taken down. Because with podcasting, I have to be vulnerable. I have to create content in the way that I'm authentically me. And I know authenticity becomes an overused word, but this is who I am. Once again, going to a conference, some people may be turned off because, Craig, you're so salesy. I'm like, no, this is literally, I truly believe life is about time and relationships. I'm here to serve and support you. I want to connect you. And like, that is authentically me. And once you get to know that, you're like, no, this is just who Greg is. Or you build enough trust with other people and they're like, no, he may sound, because that's just, I'm a Chicagoan who sounds like he's from New York, who currently sounds like I don't even know what this raspy voice is, whatever. But the work from home piece is it's difficult. And I think that's also why I love podcasting, because every Monday I post 3 podcasts I think people should listen to on my LinkedIn. And that stems from A, working in the industry, but B, I stare at a computer screen for 11 hours a day, 10, 11 hours a
Oh,
day, right? I'll go
oh,
downstairs or I'll go to the gym. I mean, now it's downstairs to the building gym here,
yeah,
and then come home, you eat dinner and you sit on the couch and like, let's veg and let's decompress. My eyes can't stand that much of a screen time. You got your phone, we're staring at a screen all the
hmm
time there.
hmm
So
hmm
ultimately, there's so much value that comes from a podcast. And I know those that may be listening, yourself included, don't realize how much video podcasting, everyone's talking about, oh, I watch it on YouTube and so
yeah,
forth. That still is more video consumption. We are in a industry, I shouldn't say an industry, we are in a economy where video is monetized at billions of dollars compared to audio, which is not. And so you go
right.
where the money is from a media standpoint. I'm always trying to go, and you know what? Let me close my eyes. Let me go work out. Let me clean the dishes, whatever. And let me just listen as opposed to watching and staring at a screen. I'm lucky my vision's 20/20, still at 43. Not everyone else, but the more screen time
I'm
we look
not.
at,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Mine's not. Yeah.
hard. Yeah. So for me, back to your question of work from home, how have I created the connection? uh, uh, COVID helped.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, working in
hmm
podcasting's help. Personality has been, I mean, the hard part about a working situation, like we use Slack. All my companies have always just used
Yeah.
Slack.
hmm
Um, the culture of RSS.com is very much, I mean, we're global. You got half the company, Mexico, Barcelona, in the States. So, yeah, Spain, sorry. So we just are always working different time zones, and you kind of just have this air about we're all in this working together to move this company forward. And that's just created by a culture and from the top.
Yeah, and like I think there's two pieces in media. Like you get TikTok videos, you've got a lot of stuff that these kids, me working with kids or being around kids, that are seeing that is not real. A lot of the podcasts that you get feels real. And it feels like you're trying to be very authentic. And honestly, you can tell if somebody's being authentic or if they're not. But I'm not gonna lie. I go do my. Do you do your grocery shopping on your phone, or do you go in and get it?
Oh, I go in and get it. Yeah.
Okay. So I do the same thing. I don't mind spending 45 minutes or so to go in a store, or an hour and a half, depending, a week, to go in and do whatever I'm doing. I see people pull up all the time at our local HEB, and they pull up and it's a designated parking spot, and they and people bring it out. I miss going in and actually interacting with people, like that piece. And I wish more people did. And I do feel like there's something of that, because you get a certain, when you're around people, and we were talking about that before, being able to go to your conference and being able to have that conversation with people that you've seen on a screen, it's different, and there's a different piece of trust that you get to build. I enjoy that.
I think, I mean, I get all schools of thoughts, but I'm stuck in my own on this one, only because I value the time and relationship of human connection. I need, back to your point, like I live alone, girlfriend's in her place.
Yeah.
So my only time for physical contact with someone could be walking down the street to the grocery store, or going and knock on someone's door going like, I just need a hug, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
whenever I get to see her. But I mean, she's the opposite. She uses everything. She'll order on Target or
Yeah.
groceries.
Yeah.
Everything's all delivery, Amazon, and she'll let them deliver it to the door, and she'll never have to talk to the person and just grab the stuff. And I'm like, no, I there's something about it also just gets me out of the apartment. So I've
Yes.
got this moment to
Yes.
leave my place
Mhm.
to interact with other people. And I mean, I've lived in the same place for over a decade, so you get to see the same faces, and it's just like the what is it, the joke that guys at a gym, if you go to a gym and you see the same person, pretty soon after a couple of months you're like best friends because I see you all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do I not, let's go, like, start chatting with you even though I'm there head down? But it's like just that natural, we're on the same schedule. What do
Mhm.
you do that you're here at the same time I am, right? Like, it's just the curiosity. And I think that's the biggest piece, is being curious. And that's what I was taught at a young age, just the curiosity of human connection.
Yeah, no, it's funny you brought up Jim, and we are talking. I saw a post today that somebody was asking, "How do you connect with people?" Yeah, a dating type of connection, and the three biggest ways that you generally would meet people are at a gym, uh, through work or at work, and then church, and it's just not that same connection, but as it used to be. All right, so we're coming up towards the end of the first segment. Look, real quick, I'd love for you to go first. Give me a book. I want a book.
All right, I brought props here. So anyone listening, you can't see everyone that's watching. So the first one that was instrumental in my recent life, I guess technically both are, is Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection.
Uh-huh.
And so right before 2020, I went on a trip, and I had just broken up with one girl, was just starting to date another, and she gifted me this book. And so on my first solo trip, before the world shuts down, not knowing the world's shutting down, and it started my healing journey, which was incredible. And we can talk about that if it's relevant, but this ultimately changed my mind. And I fell in love with Brene and what she was offering in terms of all that she's got. And the second one, and I shameless plug, but it's also just a good book, is Ryan Berman's Return on Courage. And I love going with this one because I use Ryan all the time in my examples with people. So Ryan used to run an ad agency that I used to call on, and I never knew Ryan. But I loved his team. So Ryan ended up selling and getting out of the agency, starting another business, and somehow I got on his newsletter. Very different business at the time, but he then eventually wrote this book, Return on Courage. But before that, I started connecting with him because I loved his people, but I didn't know who this guy was. I'd get the emails. He had a socks company, whatever it was that he was working on. Return on Courage is a great book for leadership and what it stands for. But the other side is I get his newsletter every Thursday. I do not listen to his podcast. And I even joke, like, Ryan may text me and go like, "Hey, I think you want to listen to this." I'm like, "I don't got the 50 minutes for you, Ryan, right now. Like, it's okay." But I can't wait for his newsletter every Thursday. And that's what the value is how do you use, in his sense, an asset to get your name, know, like, and trust out there? Use a newsletter that's like, you know what? People are going to read this newsletter. They may not have to listen to my podcast, but as long as they are getting a couple minutes with me each week, whether it's a LinkedIn post, a newsletter, or a recording, I'm building a know, like, and trust so that they enter my ecosystem. So then I'm not in a room with people, they're able to promote and talk about you. And that's what I love about, Ryan, but also the value of the book.
Okay, you sold me. I just wrote it down. I'll because it's about time for me to start a new book this month in my running and listening and growth mindset altogether. So my book's going to be Uncommon. It's called Uncommon Life. It's a daily devotional by Tony Dungy. When I saw it as a sports guy, I had a daily devotional I'd kind of read. This one it's a 1-year daily practice, and it's so good. I think I'm starting my 5th or 6th year in rereading it.
Wow.
And because it's one of those things, like, it's helped me to create, it's, first of all, it connects to purpose, it connects to integrity, and it connects to your faith. And it's one of those things that it helps to understand that there are no shortcuts, and it helps to eliminate the noise. I'll do it. I can 10 minutes, wake up, brush my teeth, and I can spend the first 10 minutes in solitude reading this passage and then reflecting on it within 10 minutes, and then I get up and go. And it's a great way to start my day. And it's huge. I mean, if you know Tony Dungy or anything about Tony Dungy, he's really big about building character. And he pushes character over achievement, that success is basically not what you accomplish, but it's who you become. He also talks about the consistency that creates an impact. So being consistent in what you do, even small disciplined choices daily, like doing this stuff. I've got kids that I've taught over the year. This one I really resonated with me because over the years I've got kids that I taught and my own kids also. And they'll come back. I'll run into them years later and they go, "Man, do you remember this? This made an impact in my life." I had no idea. And it might be in a sentence. It might have been something I did, but those little things. And then of course he talks about the purpose and how a purpose is bigger than you are. Whenever it's got to be rooted. Your life has to have some kind of root in faith, service, value. And it's got to be greater than personal vain or personal gain. Either way, vain being vain. Your influence is, you never know what your influence is or who you're going to touch. So it's one of those things that I found just amazing. I don't know that I'll pick up another one. I looked at another book he had, but we'll see. Look, today is my 33rd podcast and it's what makes you take an authentic, purposeful conversation centered around trust, clarity, and traction. Why do we do this? To incorporate your purpose or to help you incorporate your purpose into what you do on a daily basis and make impact for others within their lives. We're going to do this by sharing personal and business stories, building trust with my guest today, Greg. And Greg's done awesome so far, but he's a professional podcaster. But it's very authentic in what he is sharing and what he does. So let's dive a little into trust because I want to have a conversation about AI. You're obviously into AI. So trust in business or in anything is huge. What about AI? How do you think that can bring value to that? Because it's one of those things where if you think about it, sorry to interrupt, but it's one of those things where I've got kids that all they do is copy and paste it. That's not trust. You know what I mean? So how can that make an impact?
Before we were talking about this, I was thinking about this, and the first thing that came to mind was a story. I recently just went on a 2-week solo trip to Belize. And I've never been, so it was a preparation of what do I do for 2 weeks in Belize? And so you do the standard, let me go read blogs, let me go on Instagram and look at videos. And it starts giving you everyone's opinion and framework and the 2-week itinerary of all this stuff. And you start seeing like, what are the off the beaten path kind of guides and what are the standard touristy stuff that it's going to recommend. Come up with your framework. And then of course you got to roll the punches. And so if things don't go as well as you want it, or you're in the mood for something else and you're actually on the trip, what do you do? And in my case, then I started turning to ChatGPT going like, hey, what do I do now? And the problem with that is all the key stuff was probably coming up and it's being served as the top stuff. It's still not at the level of giving me the off the beaten path. Even I can say like, this is what I want. This is the exact vibe. It's still not going to give you because that means not enough people have written about it. A lot of those off the beaten paths aren't on computers in a third world country in that regard. So you're only going to be served at this point. We're still years away, but I'm only going to get served what is being fueled into those models. And that really helped me in understanding, like, had I not prepped beforehand, had I not just sit there and go and ask locals, where should I go, and relied on AI to help me there, I'd be missing out on so much.
Correct.
So from a business standpoint, we have to think about that. We're on the flip side with rss.com, because our domain authority is so strong, we're working incredibly hard on how do I get our name out there in more articles and conversations so that the AI is pulling us. So when someone does a search for like best podcast hosting company, we're coming up and it's authentic, but it's also just the way the AI is pulling what we're working on. That becomes those that know, those that have the resources, those that have a business model around it will win. And the little guy, so this little mom and pop restaurant in Belize that isn't playing that game, may not have the line out the door. You need the reservations because they weren't part of TripAdvisor or Booking.com's recommendations or Yelp's recommendations, right? So that's that all comes to, and if you think about it from your students, like you're only going to get what is being put in there. You're not going to get other ideas. And so how do you start thinking outside of the box? How do you start getting the connections of conversations that aren't just the top of the charts?
Yeah. Yeah. And either way, as well as I do that anytime you use an AI, especially in business, personal business trips, it doesn't matter. It's a thought partner. It's not 100%. It's going to use data. It's going to use analytics, but it's still a thought partner. For instance, my show all the time during this segment, I frequently bring up my son who he used Chat GPT to start his own business, and he's built his own business, and he is driven by this. It's a pressure washing business, so it's cold here. He's actually found different ways to make money. But he and I had a great conversation. And the conversation was, one, he was very thankful for me because I failed at my business. Because I failed at my business has given him insights into doing what he does. But he used Chat GPT and some other platforms to be able to build his business. And what he said when we got into that conversation, what he said was, yeah, I trusted it way too much. I trusted what it gave me and I went and I ended up understanding that it was a failure. Those failures will help him to move forward, but building trust, utilize AI, or if you're a business and you utilize AI and you utilize it to help grow your business, but you understand that it's not end all be all. It's a great tool to help you understand and learn things that you may have never seen. But remember, you're still the human here. You're the one that's intelligent and has to make the decision, has to live with the decision.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, those are things. And AI, it can be a bit of a challenge these days, and but it can create clarity. Have you ever, in your experience, well, at RSS, what can it help with clarity in a business or for a small to medium business that's looking to grow?
Oh, I mean, I use it for, I'm an external processor. So I cheat and I use AI. My founders probably know this. It's like, I'll random my thoughts and I'm like, all right, this does not sound cohesive. And I'll go like, AI, turn this into a executive level summary that I can send to founders of a company.
Yeah.
Now, is that one would argue you should know how to do that? And I'm like, yeah, but if I can just sit there and spew out my thoughts and have it then edited for me and save myself the time and then just edit from there, that's just called using technology in its greatest way, right? So I'll do that all the time. I'll have ideas and I know I'm missing something. It's one of those where you're like, all right, I know people are smarter than me right now.
Yes.
I know there's a there, but I'm not thinking about this correctly. So I could either go, hey, Bryan, can you jam with me right now? Or I can go to someone who's not you, but knows everything that I would need him to know or her know and go, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here, digest this. And they'll ask me the questions like, why wouldn't I want that person, that assistant to bounce ideas off of and go, great, you weren't thinking of that idea. I had it. You were able to just help me distill it. And then, I didn't even think about that one. I mean, when it comes from podcasting, I tell our podcasters all the time, don't just use AI for titles and descriptions.
Yeah.
Take all these conversations and find all the different ways that you can turn this content into something valuable. Whether it is, in your case, you're 33 episodes in, you're like, great, I'm going to go AI, take all these transcripts and say, distill for me what is the common trend across these 33 conversations that I can go ahead and take as the core basis of a book that I can write about, right? Like you're just starting to think of all those things, but you can also then go to AI and going, here's what my conversations are. What am I not even thinking about that I could be turning all this into?
Yes.
And there you go.
Okay. It's funny you say, so Neil, God, I forgot Neil's last name, but Neil and I had a conversation earlier. He's with Podcast Critic or Pod Critic. Somebody sent me his link and we ended up connecting. So I sent him, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I sent him a transcript from my last podcast. He uploaded it into this and it created this large report of those snippets of kind of the important parts that you took, the important conversations that you had. Just when I scanned it briefly, it had different segments of this is where this was a great conversation. This piece, and you're looking at 2 or 3 sentences. This piece would be great to post. Giving you that insight into 1, what are you doing well? 2, how can you get better? And 3, how can you utilize that and grow from that conversation? Now it's a lengthy report, but it was phenomenal. Just me scanning it for a couple of minutes and going, wait a second, I need some time. It was a phenomenal report. But that's exactly what you're talking about, is being able to use that to learn. AI, that's the biggest thing that I can find. Dude, you want me to write an executive letter? That's not my strength. I don't do that. But if I go on AI, which I've done this quite often, I can even plan a teaching lesson. I can do different things if I want to, but I have to be able to put my input into it. But what I've learned is that I learn and it teaches me. Number 1, I get to learn from what it's doing to do these things. But if I'm not very good at something and I need to produce it and I can have AI do it, it frees me up to do things that I am good at. Because it might take me, let's say this podcast, it might take me 3 hours to prepare for it. Or if I do writings on LinkedIn, it may take me hours. If I put my thoughts in there and I can give it a prompt and it spits it out and I copy, paste, and tweak it, I've just reduced just me doing that to 30 minutes, because it gives me ideas that follow along. And then I put information in there. You're able to put information in there that makes it authentic and makes it yours.
I mean, those are 100%. You're going to have those that are smarter than 2 of us that are able to come up with better prompts. And so you'll still always have someone who's smarter coming up with something smarter in that regards. But if this allows me a tool to go, I know I don't have everything memorized. I don't know everything, but at least I can start having those conversations with it. Why wouldn't I be able to do that? So like AI for business, if you're back to, I think you said the common people are just copying and pasting. It's like, that's where the trust comes in. That you have to do. I mean, everything, we all know that if the word is dive or delve, it's written with AI. We know if everything starts now with, I hope you're doing well, it's written with the AI, which, to be honest, is terrible, because that's literally how we all used to write our emails.
Yes.
And that's how it was trained, clearly, because that's what we were all doing. And now we all know, oh, this is AI, which is really funny because, so there's certain phrases that it's trained on that we all did. And now we're like, well, now we know that's AI, but it's what we did.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's actually, in a sense, kind of made us perform better or think about, how do I go about this in a different way? And that's not a bad thing. It's creating an evolution in just some of the things that we're probably doing not insecure. I'm blanking on what I was going to say.
Good. I don't thank you for not making me feel long. I blank all the time. But I think mine's age and sleep is my issue.
Sleep, that's for sure.
Gosh. Hey, okay. So we're talking about AI. AI can help you be an expert in anything. What about you? Is there anything that you find yourself, and this is going to end up being a 2-part kind of question, because as you're talking, I'm thinking, what are you an expert in, and how would you share with the audience? What would you like to share with the audience that you're an expert in, and tell us about it?
I'm an expert in networking relationships. That's the key piece. It is understanding how you stay in contact with people. There's ways that you can use AI. I've talked about this with people, and the automation of messages goes back to I hope you're doing well. Facebook is now automatically, if you go into Facebook and it's someone's birthday today and it's going to fill in, smile, it's your birthday or whatever, that was created by AI. Because if I'm seeing that when I go to wish you happy birthday and that's what shows up on my wall, I'm like, just so the standard, just happy birthday, Bryan, generic, but it works. At least I took the time and energy to do that. And I think that's a key piece, is too often no one's taking the time and energy to do something. Gosh. So if I know today's your birthday, or you tell me when's your birthday, I'm putting that in my phone. So when it's your birthday, I send a text, and everyone's like, you always get my birthday. No one else does that. I'm like, as soon as I know your birthday, how hard is it to go edit on contacts and put your birthday in there, and then they get the notification on every day or
Yeah.
every year that's your
Hmm.
birthday? Like, there's just so many things, so many little things that we can do as humans to create that connection that AI then we can use if we wanted to automate more or help us more, surface some of those things. I was talking with someone about being able to have AI surface certain information in your notes about a person so that you can then have the email then generated and going like,
Yes.
oh, I know today's your anniversary. So I'm going to have this email generated because I don't even have to write it now. Going like, well, I see today's Brian's anniversary. So send Brian an anniversary email going, hey, happy anniversary. Hope you're doing well. Um, would love to catch up with you and yada yada. And simple stuff like you can use AI to create those automations if you want. Most aren't. I don't. I do it all just personally,
Uh-huh.
but there's great ways we can use AI to create connection. But I believe as a relationship person, I won't ever lose a job because we all need human connection. So AI
Yes.
is not going to replace this, even if we're going through a screen, it's not going to replace that feeling, that emotional connection. Um, but it could help me from an automation standpoint.
It could get, doing networking, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it could also, if you can automate some of it, it actually get you out, if you use it right, could get you out in front of people. Because it
Yeah, I
gets you,
mean,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, it gets you out to, we were talking earlier, like the shopping piece. The being able to connect with people is huge. I want to hear, and you've already answered my second part of the question, which I was going with AI, so you did all of it. But I want to know tips. What about tips for networking and the human connection with not this that's actually out? What would you tell people? I love and miss the human connection. I need that human connection. Never thought I'd ever say that. What tip would you give me?
It was it's funny being an extrovert and a true like I'm outgoing extrovert, but I mean I'm fed by being with people like that feeds me. So going to a conference and then having because not everyone in podcasting is an extrovert. We all think like they love to talk, but that doesn't mean that they're fed energetically by being around other people. So
Hmm.
when you've got introverts and I come up and I start talking, they're like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap now because this was a lot of energy that I just absorbed from you. I still think, regardless, introvert, extrovert, the key to it is just being curious. And I think the art of asking questions and being curious and listening, all these are skills that have nothing to do with networking. They're just human
Yeah.
pieces. Like, how do I just get curious about a person and understanding their story and just talking less about me, which is always interesting when I go on podcasts because I'm the one talking and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm used to asking the questions, which are great. But I think that is the key piece. Just be curious as a human society. We were talking, my founders, one's from Barcelona, or he's Italian. And then we've got colleagues that are Italian and Spanish. And
Hmm.
we're having a conversation about um, accents. And
Yes.
it made me really question. And he spoke it so well. The fact that I grew up with immigrant grandparents, so I was around a Eastern European accent all the time. But I am terrible with accents. So trying to hear these four gentlemen all speak with their Italian and Spanish accents,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm struggling here. Now, part of it
Hmm.
is also you hear the music in the background, you have other chatter, and the
With
ADD
you.
in
Yes.
me is just I can't focus on you right now because I'm hearing everything else. But I'm still really bad with accents if it was just the two of us.
Right.
And he said to me, he's like, that's probably because the community that you surround yourself with may be diverse, but not diverse in language. And I'm like, you're so right. And I've been thinking about that. I have a very diverse friend group and cultural group, but I may not be surrounded. May not be always talking to people in my core group that have an accent.
Right.
And so getting curious about those things, thinking about these things. How do I then go seek out more diverse voices, more diverse mindsets? That's what I love about podcasting. You can find anything that you want from any different voice. So if I'm struggling with understanding, I'll just pick an Indian voice. They've probably got great business insights. So let me go find a a SaaS founder who's from India and start listening to his insights, but also start getting used to the accent. I mean, there's so many things you can get curious and learn from.
Huh.
So there's then that just fuels you from a networking standpoint, going like, I can talk to other people. And the way my brain works is now I've opened up my entire cultural reference to another country and going, hey, Bryan, you should really check out this guy in India. And you're like, why would I do that? And like, because there's 8 billion people on this earth. We don't have to all be American centric. We don't all have to be English speaking centric. You could take this podcast and translate it into another language, which I know people do, whether it's an AI clone or it's just the text base, so you can get your stories and our stories that you're bringing to other people. Like, there's so many things we can do to create network, to create connections, to get our voices out there.
And look, okay, so how let's go back to trust. And you're talking about people that are connecting with in the networking piece. You always are around people that have different values and that have different beliefs. How can the impact of trust, or even giving trust to some, make an impact in the networking scene?
I mean, I'm if you haven't gathered from me listening to this now, everyone, but like, I'm all about, I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
Until you give me a reason not to. I'm going to try and force my energy onto you until you're like, no, right? So, and it's not to try and sell you. It's just like, I want to create a connection. If you're shutting me down, or if I'm too good for this person, then if you're going to give me that, then I'll walk away. And then I'm like, good. Then there's 8 billion people. I want to do business with people that I want to grab a beer with. I want to talk to people. Not everyone's going to be my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And part of that is also just understanding like what personal hangups do I have, right? Take the guy who's got the suit and he looks really suave. You're like, oh, this arrogant person, 4-letter word, whatever it is. But like, you're judging a book by a cover. And maybe they're not like that. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe that's just the vision that they've got. Maybe maybe you're jealous of them because they're acting in a way that you wish you could. And now you're projecting because you're realizing, I don't like this person only because I wish I was this person, right? So it forces you to start thinking about all these things and questioning your own personality.
No, but I think we miss that too, because that's an opportunity. Instead of wishing you were that person, learn from that person so that you can grow. That's the whole. And when you've got different values or different beliefs, it just allows. My big thing lately is 2 things when I go into a classroom or when I'm in a room is, one, I want to bring positive energy, and I want to bring energy, because if you get anything that may be that may be the only thing you get. The second piece, and this has just been the last year or so, it connected. I've always kind of done this, but when you have a conversation with somebody, it's like step into where, no matter what your beliefs are, what their beliefs are, step into their eyes, and it allows you to see life from a completely different perspective. And you might learn something that you've never seen before. So we've got one more segment. Let's go ahead and thank everybody for listening to the podcast, whether it's live or it's recorded. What makes you tick? Greg and I are having an authentic, purposeful conversation surrounded by trust, clarity, and traction. If you have any questions or any comments, drop them in. I had one guy one of my friends send me an email. Send an email. I'd love any feedback that you have. Anything, Greg, right now that you would want to give our audience, like anything that you found that you wanted just a snippet of?
I don't know. We were talking about this before we started recording about resilience and persistence.
Yes.
I think that goes in towards a big bucket on building trust, right? And showing up and just being able to continue to show up. You've got, how many people in your life have you had this situation where I keep showing up for this person and they don't show up for me? And then we just cut them off, but we never actually asked them, hey, was there something, why? And maybe we're actually the catalyst of that. It goes back to the birthday text. My friend's like, you're so good at staying in contact with people. And I'm like, it doesn't really take much. Once again, entered your birthday in. It's an easy text that I can send to you. You could do the same thing.
Yeah.
But you're not going to. And so you could either get upset with, why does this person never reach out to me? Or you can go, you know what? That's actually my superpower. That is what I'm good at, as opposed to what they're good at. And I can't be upset that they're not good at what I am. And
Uh-huh.
I think that is a big piece of being persistent, and not saying my energy is being used for someone that doesn't value it. It's like, no, my energy is being used, and that's exactly what they need.
Hmm.
And having those conversations. Do it in work. I think there's a lot of times in the working environment we don't have those conversations, whether it's a subordinate or hierarchy
Right.
conversation. We lack a lot of clarity. So I think if we can have a lot more clarity, the core piece here, right?
Right.
It will build more trust if we're clear on either our intentions or our
Yes.
purpose or the words that we're saying. I do this all the time. My girlfriend, part of most of our fights is what I think and what she thinks, and then trying to understand. It's like, no, I wasn't that. It's like, okay, we're getting upset. We should have just been like, I need clarity on what we're at, so we're on the same page, and we're all going to interpret it, whether it's our upbringing, just our own mindset. So there's no harm in going, hey, can you clarify this for me? I'm
Yeah.
I'm a little lost. Don't get upset that I'm taking more of your time to help you explain, but rather have the explanation now than the frustration later that I did something wrong, or I didn't do what we need to get done, or I had the wrong objective in mind. So being incredibly um, clear, or getting clarity, being able to speak on those things are key.
No, it's huge. And it's funny because one of the things you're talking about birthdays, I had a friend of mine who, her and I went out for a while, and one of the things that she said was, like, people's birthdays are important. You were talking about birthdays, and since now that I've been on LinkedIn and Facebook, the past probably 3 years, I've made it a point. Like, every day I look at birthdays on both, and I make sure that I send. I may not know that person, but I want to send them a happy birthday because I might be the only person that does. And I hope not, but that's just one of those things. I'm with you. I think it's huge. All right, so you're talking about impact and how you can make impact and resiliency. Tell us something a negative moment in your life that made a positive impact later on. You may have not seen it coming, but it's something that made an impact.
Um, so this was 2012, 2013. I was at a company and I got the standard PIP. Wasn't hitting my sales goals. So they're like, hey, Greg, here's your 30, 60-day notice. You have till here I think I got a 30-day notice to hit your goal. And um, it was given an option. You can either leave and we'll pay you out through the end of the month, spend the time to go find a new job, do whatever you got to do, reset, recharge, or keep going. Now, part of it is personality and going like, I'm no quitter.
Yeah, yeah,
Part of it is also, no, if stopping now is not gonna give me a lesson. I'm in here to work till the end, until the day you say I'm over, because you don't know when the next deal comes. You don't know when the conversation you're having could end up leading, right?
right.
So whether you know your pipeline or you don't know your pipeline, I'm going to keep calling. It's not that I hate this job. It's not that I'm not good at this job. It's just life is about time and relationships, and especially when it comes to sales. Sometimes those deals aren't on your company's
Correct.
timeline.
Hmm.
It's on the timeline of
Hmm.
what the buyer is looking at. And so, sure enough, I kept grinding. There was another girl who chose the exit early, and sure enough, deal came through, kept the job. Next year, I was a top sales rep. So it just took keep you going. But also because of that, I was honest, and I was forever grateful for that client. And I told him eventually later on, like, your deal coming through, and I didn't tell you this. I wasn't pushing you. Hey, I'm going to lose my job if you don't sign, whatever. Cause like that doesn't get you any value.
Nope. Mm-mm.
So telling her like, look, your job or your deal that you came through actually kept my job. That actually allowed us to continue to blossom this relationship that turned it in from X dollars to X times X dollars or whatever it was. And allow me to continue for the next 5 years with an iteration of that company. So it just continues to show not quitting, staying resilient. Now, there's other times we don't quit when we should, and so I've
Right.
learned those that value as well. Because once the company got acquired, I probably should have quit or looked for another job, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I
Uh-huh.
always held in my mind, like, if you believe in what you're doing, you believe in your skills, life is about time and relationships. You just keep hammering at it, you'll end up winning. It's not like gambling. If you stay building and podcasting is the same way, and I'll go back to that. So apologize, everyone's getting the podcast analogy,
You're good.
but I work in that space, but it's very relevant for life. Podcasting is all about long-term relationships. It's not a short-term
Mhm.
beast. It's your 33 episodes. After 3 years, you'll hopefully be at 150, and that's 150 conversations you've had, and the growth that you get there, the rooms that you're now in, the thoughts that you're able to have because of that. So in the game of life, the longer you're above ground, the longer you're in it, that the more you're probably going to win. Because usually the house doesn't win in that place like Vegas. So for me, it was just a remembrance, a reminding of how if you believe in what you're doing and you're happy with what you're doing, then just keep doing it, even it's hard, because it'll eventually pay off. And you'll be like, when am I going to get this sale, or when am I going to get my money, or I've been grinding at this for so long, then maybe that's also the good time to check and reflect on, is the right goal that I'm aiming for the correct goal,
Yeah.
right? So most of the people that are in podcasting and business, they're like, look, actually in business, I need to get sales so that I can keep the company going, but is there something else you could be doing that could drive revenue, that could be driving value, that could be driving what you're needing? Are you missing out? And I think that's what I love about the role I sit in, um, because I get to talk to like agencies all the time,
Yeah.
and they're so focused on what their business is, they don't even think about, well, if I partner with this person, how much more money could I make? If I do this, how much more can I do? If I start this conversation, then maybe it's not going to open a sale now or business now or an opportunity now, but who knows where this takes me later. So if I can take off blinders, that's going to get me there. So that's all kind of helped me in realizing a lot in my life.
No, and I love the part where you're talking about the one of my big sayings is let's be transitional over transactional. And whenever you look at being in the same spot that I've been in a couple times in BD, there's better deals that I have brought on that took time, but they're with us for a longer period of time because they understand who I am, who the company is, and who both of us are, and that connection is more important, I would think, than just that quick sale, because that quick sale may go away fast and they may not stay. But building that relationship, huge. I think it's absolutely huge, and I'm laughing because I get everything you're saying. We're on the same page.
I'm
Um,
laughing because too often in my career, you get interviewed. So BD
yeah.
people, you get interviewed and they're like, what's your book of business? Who are your contacts?
Ah.
Because they think you're going to bring
Uh-huh.
those relationships on
Uh-huh.
over. And you're always you'll entertain them, go, here's what I've got. But in the back of
Yep.
your mind, you're like, I'm never bringing any of these clients over until I've actually stood in here and start realizing what are the skeletons under,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to. And then the other side is their buying cycle isn't the cycle. So even if I wanted to bring them over, I'm like, these are all my relationships, but they're not buying until 6 months from now because that's what their cycle.
Yeah.
So I got to go find new business anyways. So let me go grind. I'd rather open new relationships with new people at a new job than
Uh-huh.
try and bring in
Uh-huh.
my old relationships to the
Uh-huh.
new place that I don't even
Uh-huh.
know what it's like. And
Yes.
then I've ruined my relationship by going like, ooh, I brought you here. I'm sorry. It was not what it was supposed to be, because most of us don't know. We're sold a poor bill of goods. Clarity. We don't have the clarity,
Nope.
but if you're dealing with a salesperson who's hiring you, most likely that's the case. But everyone's got the glass half full when they're inside the company. No
Mhm.
one's going,
Mhm.
I need this head count, but I'll be honest, it's a shit show. You're like, all right, at least you told me, like, that's what I want. Tell me if there's something wrong, let me know what those skeletons are so I can make the judgment and go, I'm going to be honest with you. This is it.
Yeah.
Cool. That's not for me. Great. Great meeting you. Goodbye.
You have the trust in the relationship. So you have to know your people. Let's go back to the athletics. Knowing my opponent is the same thing as knowing my teammate. And I have to know them. So why would I, like, that trust we've built? I'm not going to bring you into a room that you don't belong, because that's not me. That's not me taking care of my own trust, if that makes sense. Look, we're getting close to the end. I know, look, national championship, LSU 2019, baby. A lot of people are comparing this Indiana team to them. No, that is your team right there.
Go Trojans. We were shared the national championship, right?
Agreed. Yeah. Look, so as we get close to the end, I always want to end my show with advice. So first piece of advice is, what about chasing your dreams? Because obviously you're chasing your dreams. For me, honestly, I'm in the next stage of finding out what my next dream is to chase. I've already reached mine, which was raise my family. What advice?
My mom was a long-term academic. She was a teacher for 40 plus years. My dad was an accountant for 30 plus years. They both knew what they were going to do, and they were happy staying in those roles. My mom, she would keep teaching if she could. So when they always looked at me and they're like, why do you keep going through jobs? Why haven't you been able to find it? Right? Maybe it's a generational thing. I thought I'd be in marketing, and it somehow took me to where I'm at. And so when I look at that through line and think, you know what, this stage took you to this stage, took you to this stage, and it helps me understand the long term of life, where what are the skills that I'm growing? What are the skills I'm gaining that regardless of the career, regardless of the company, I can work at? And so I think for anyone and young minds, because I know we've got that audience.
That's always the last thing,
right?
Yeah. We ended,
But it's okay if you don't know what you want. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do. Just keep building up skills. Keep failing and learning quickly, right? Michael Jordan, I love, as a Chicago person, take his analogy or his quote, right? So keep going through those things, and the hard parts will end up getting easier. I mean, adulting, it's incredibly hard, and I don't even have kids, so the world gets harder and harder. But at the end of it, we all need connections and relationships. So if you can keep building knowledge and you keep building mentors, keep building people in and around you, I think that is it. So for me, the goals and the dreams, I never thought 5 years later I'd be in podcasting. Never thought I'd be talking from stages and being a top voice in an industry. I just love podcasting because it gives me access to amazing people like you to go like, you're a coach, you're a business guy who also has a podcast. Great. Let's talk about the other side of life, or is it teaching and where does my brain go? And that gives me the access to know, like, what is my superpower? And I've learned the superpower is the ability to create connections. And so I think people have to remember, what is easy for you is hard for others, and don't take it for granted.
No, and before we go, last thing, you've got our youth. How, in this world of AI, give them a quick piece of advice on how they can build trust and clarity within their lives.
Ask for help. I think that is the one thing I wish I would have learned earlier, and I've learned later. You don't have to be the know-it-all. It's okay to ask for help. I self-deprecate. I'm like, I'm going to ask a stupid question here. And I just do that because that's just me. And maybe at one point I'll grow out of that, but it's okay to go, hold on, this doesn't make sense. And have someone explain, or being okay to go, you know what? Well, I'm going to ask people for help.
Yeah.
You're not a burden. And you have to remember, you are probably answering many questions from others. And what does that make you feel like when someone comes to you? Think about it. When you go to your son asking for help, he must go like, wow, my dad's coming to me for help. He must trust me. He must believe in me. He must think I know something besides just how to fix technology. Right. So that is a gift that you just gave him. So think about the gift that you get to give others by asking them for help. And that becomes an incredible value exchange. So I think for anyone listening, especially the youth, continue to ask for help, continue to ask questions, continue to find people that make you feel okay to ask. And if they don't make you feel okay, maybe you're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable asking my parents. I don't feel comfortable asking this person. Start working on the relationship with them and understanding why are you in a discomfort. It's probably an internal thing, but it's okay to ask for help.
No, I love that. And that's a great way to end, because one of the things I'm trying to get my kids, my students, all of them now, or anybody that I'm around, is ask a question, because you never know the answer until you ask the question. It might be a stupid answer, but at least you know. Look,
Or you may know the answer.
Yeah.
And just hearing someone else describe it in a different way allows you
Yes.
to go, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or that's an interesting way to describe what I would describe as this. Now you actually created a conversation connection, but it opened you to a different perspective.
Absolutely. Look, let's make sure we connect. Follow the show live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And now I'll put it on Spotify as soon as we're done. I'll download that here. Greg, please share the best way that people, your LinkedIn, or what's the best way that our audience can connect with you?
I live on LinkedIn. Greg Wasserman, time and relationships. Hopefully you see this handsome face and that makes it. But no, I truly believe and back to what you've said, like you've said it a couple times, and now I get to do it for you. One of the greatest gifts is that you can give a podcaster, creator, a show like Bryan, is even if you don't reach out to Bryan, reach out to the guest if they've got something that's said, because I can't speak to other people, but I will then go, wow, you spent the time to listen to Bryan. You spent the time to listen to me, and you reached out to me and say, I really liked what you had to say. Then I'm going to send that to Bryan going, Bryan, here's someone that you didn't know was listening to your show. Because that's the great thing about podcasting is downside, I guess, is we don't know who's listening. We don't know who's following. We just know, we see the numbers in the back end going like, I got 1,000 downloads, I got 1,000 views, but I don't know who those people are.
Yeah.
We want that connection. We want that. And I don't want to have you're a fly in the wall, one-way street here. I want to be able to connect with people. And so I live on LinkedIn. I will talk to anyone. I network for a living, because the way I think of it is I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I got nothing to sell you. I'm trying to help you in whatever you're trying to accomplish. Because as you gave a great intro to me earlier, I want to be the guy that knows the guy. So if you're looking for something, I probably know, and I want to make the introduction.
No, that's awesome. Look, thank you for being a guest on What Makes You Tick.
Thank you so much.
No, let's make an impact in our lives and our communities through trust, clarity, and traction. Let's be transitional over transactional. You can find me on LinkedIn. Stay connected for future episodes, deeper conversation. Greg, man, it's been amazing. Find my friend, connect with him. Join me next week as we talk about in podcasting with my guest, Boley Harris. Another amazing background, purpose, legacy, impact, all of it. Go out and make an impact this week on anybody around you. Enjoy your family. See you.